The phone made people assholes.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
It allows you to just be so fucking cowardly, anonymous, shady,
Yeah.
fake, all these shitty qualities.
Hello, everybody. We are back with Bill Maher today, and as you can see, his guest is Greg Gutfeld from Fox. And I always think it's interesting to see, two guys on the opposite sides of the political spectrum just sit down and chat. So I respect Bill Maher for doing that. I mean, I don't really watch Fox News. I used to watch clips of Tucker Carlson when he was on Fox. I thought he was hilarious, but I don't watch it these days. But anyway, let's just get into it, because this is, there's not a whole lot of shouting and screaming going on. It's just two guys, ordinary people like we used to do in the old days before the internet, just chatting.
And then some of them, I watched Rain Man again. I thought it held up pretty well. But again, you couldn't make it because, like, he says the R word a million times.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of stuff. We're like in kindergarten now, where we have to say pee-pee and poo-poo and R word. And
well, Animal House. I think Animal House still holds up, but you could not do that movie, especially in the nightclub scene.
Oh.
When do you mind if we danced with your dates? That whole thing would never happen. It would never happen. That's the first time I ever saw breasts.
But it's every movie. It's every movie.
Yeah.
It's I mean, any movie made even 10 years ago, and there's something there that if you really examine who you are, you probably are not offended at all. We all laughed at this stuff, and it wasn't terribly, we know when something's terribly offensive. But when you hear it now in 2023, you hunch up because not because of it itself, but because the reaction it will cause.
Yes.
You're going to have to listen to people bitching about this and posturing and pretending they're so offended and it's so terrible. And that's what's going to be so.
And they're not. That's the thing. They're not offended.
Well,
they're not. No one's really offended, I think.
Well,
because you can, when you said.
People are offended and some things are offensive.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of like when I said, do you Google people who are dead? When you're offensive, if you just waited 10 seconds, you would forget.
Right.
You would just forget. Instead, they get on Twitter and then they create this kind of mob reaction. And then people are so bored and they're so distracted that and also it's a personal power thing. It's like, if I don't have any power in my world, at least on here, I can exert some kind of power, get somebody to apologize. And it feels good. It feels good if I can get 1,000 retweets that Bill Maher said this and what an asshole, and then it happens. It's but your life doesn't change. My life doesn't change by doing that, but I feel like I did something. And I think that's been driving a lot of this shit.
The phone made people assholes.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
It allows you to just be so fucking cowardly, anonymous, shady, fake, all these shitty qualities it brought out in people.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was always seen as kind of a cynic about humans, I think that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I can't disagree with what Bill Maher was saying there. Certainly not just the smartphone, but social media in particular. It just amplifies everybody, including me. I've done my share of trolling, although I haven't done it in years. I used to do it on Facebook, just annoyed everybody in my family because I'm the only remotely traditional person in my entire family. Everyone else are dyed-in-the-wool leftists, liberals, Democrats, and all that. So anyway, but yeah, the point is, when I was growing up, so I was born in 1965, I'm almost 60 now. Of course, we didn't have, cell phones or anything like that. So if something happened, you said something rude to somebody, it was done. Or you said something, you got in an argument, it was done. That was it. It went no further. Now people's arguments spill out around the world. Anyway, and I do think the anonymity of it does tend to bring out the worst in people. I've seen it in myself.
because
It is
it turns out that they are really humans are not good people.
Yeah, well, no, I would. I don't know. Well, we're definitely sinners, but it's a bathroom wall. It's a bathroom wall, so you can write things on it and not be held accountable. It's.
But it has repercussions, and a bathroom wall doesn't.
Yeah, it does. It destroys
All you
careers.
do is go in there and roll your eyes because you're reading.
Do you remember that girl that?
Yeah, the thing I don't like really these days is these people. I mean, if you want to boycott a company like Bud Light for having Dylan Mulvaney on their cans, fine. You know, I'm all for that. But like trying to destroy somebody's livelihood, that I find absolutely disgusting. You know, somebody says something rude, and of course people capture everything and people film everything these days. Ends up on Twitter, and then a bunch of people get together in a brigade and try to get that person fired because they said something racist or mean on the internet. No, I don't think you should try to do that. I don't think you should try to destroy people's livelihood. Call them names back, fine. Yeah, absolutely. But try to take away their ability to make a living, I find that absolutely horrific.
Made that joke who before she was leaving to fly to South Africa.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and she said, "I hope I don't get AIDS." That's a joke about America and about how we don't
That was actually pretty funny, but of course, people got her fired.
care about. And she was, I remember, that was the first Twitter.
Yeah.
I think it's the first cancel culture moment.
I mean, it was.
That was the,
If they haven't made a movie about it, they should.
yeah.
Because by the time she got off the plane, her life was over.
There were people at the airport waiting for her because it felt so good to get somebody. And I can't remember her name, but she, I don't like what happened to her. I'm going to Google her when we're done.
No, which, there used to be, if something like that happened, I think there was this allowance for someone to then go, oh, fuck, okay, you got me. It was a brain fart. I'm sorry, you're right. That was a shitty thing to do. And that was that.
Yeah.
And that should be all that because people, what I hate is the bad faith of people who know that this person isn't a horrible person, but I'm going to wreck your life anyway. Because if there's one misstep and not a hanging offense,
Yeah.
especially if you own it, but no, with these people, it's never good enough.
Yeah. I would say that.
Just like blood.
I
They
would
like
say
blood
that
and they
I
like
was
to-
guilty of that, though. Like, in the beginning, it's when somebody fucks up that you disagree with, when you said it was like you take them at their worst intentions, not their best. Everything that's going on right now in our lives is based on people taking the worst intention.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter if you're a conservative and you don't like liberals, you will take the worst example of a liberal, and a liberal will take the worst example of a conservative, and they both are almost identical. Like the Squad is the same as whoever you want to call on the conservative side. They're exactly the same.
There is a lot of that.
Yeah, and it's.
I mean-
and the thing is, it's really funny when you like. I make fun of like Ilhan Omar, and then she'll say something that I agree with, and I'm like,
Like what?
she was pretty good. That's a good question. There were two things that she said. She was pissed off about what was going on in Palestine, not Palestine, but Palestine.
Oh.
And, yeah,
I'm glad
it wasn't Palestine.
I was.
But she was talking about but there were some other things that she said that I thought were like, wow, that's pretty libertarian, because generally she's kind of scary, but like maybe she's not as bad as I think she is. But what happens if you start feeling that way about everybody? Then you kind of lose who you are. If your job is to kind of freely point out that these people suck, and you find out that maybe they don't, you might lose an audience. You might you might end up like if you were going and I've seen it on your show when you veer.
I've lost audience.
Before
many times, and I don't care.
But
I care because it'd be great if it didn't happen. But my real bond with my audience is that I never pull a punch.
Yeah.
And I never. I mean, I have lost people who were think I'm conservative now, and I have not changed. I don't think at all.
No.
I think the politics has changed and the people have changed, but I don't think that it makes me a conservative to, think things that are crazy are crazy.
Yeah.
And forcing me to say so doesn't help.
Yeah.
There's just too much forced conformity.
Yeah.
And there's no thinking out loud.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
Yeah. I remember watching your show a couple times when you would actually feel, I could see you genuinely disappointed when people applauded for what you would think would be a red meat comment. Like,
Correct.
It's kind of like, it's like, because I do the same thing. It's like, I know that it's really easy to bash Biden or anybody, and then so we have these. I joke about it. I go, well, that was red meat, and I go, so that's funny to you, but if I do anything else, it's not funny. It's like, but they're not living in the world that we live in. So maybe this is their outlet. I don't know, but I noticed that when you would do that, and you just kind of go, don't clap.
Well, there were many years, the majority of the years, that I've done real time from the same studio at CBS here in Hollywood. 20 years. The first, I would say, at least 15, I was probably fighting with the audience, at least once a show. Mm-hmm. It was very rare I had an audience that didn't like ooh and ah something. Then somebody did some, part of it was the pandemic. We had to get a smaller audience.
Right.
And so somehow they knew how to get rid of just the groaners.
Yeah.
And so we stuck with it even after the pandemic ended, and we could have as many as we want now. But I was like, no, I'd much rather have this half filled, but they're the good people who they can laugh at both sides.
Right.
They cheer both things. They cheer common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really watch. I've never really seen Greg Gutfeld's show, but he does make a point. Obviously, if you're in the entertainment business, which these guys are, at the end of the day, yes, they comment on political and social issues, but at the end of the day, they are entertainers. Entertainers have an audience, they appeal to a certain group of people who have certain shared, not characteristics, but a certain shared like for the views presented by these entertainers. So, they're kind of coming at it from different ways. I mean, I respect Bill Maher if it's true. I mean, yeah, sometimes he annoys his audience or angers his audience. And if he says he doesn't care if they go away, fair enough, yeah. You should be true to yourself, absolutely. Whereas it did sound like Gutfeld was saying, that he sort of moderates what he says to appeal to the audience he has. Kind of like, I guess, what a recording artist does sometimes, or tends, or fights against doing. We know about these bands. They had a great first album, then maybe their second album followed on too. But the third album they were tired of doing the same kind of stuff, so they switched it up, different, changed their style, and they lose a lot of their fans that way because that's what the fans wanted. So anyway, it's a different way of approaching entertainment, but in any case, it's just I like this clip because I found it kind of a nice break from a lot of the things I comment on, which are just people yelling at each other, basically. This kind of thing represents what I think many, many ordinary people actually do. They go to a bar, get chatting to somebody. Yeah, they might talk about politics, but I don't think they square off ordinary people. Somebody will say something about immigration, the other guy will say, yeah, this and that, but this and that, and it doesn't have to be a fight always. Anyway, so kind of a quiet video this time. I'll leave it there. And if you guys like this kind of content, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.